Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Oops. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Yeah.
Never experienced Christmas. Can you imagine a woodland creature who's never experienced Christmas ever? It was the big, galumpy, hairy brown bear. And this time, the little rabbit was sure that she would be able to bring her big friend, the big, galumpy, hairy bear, to the big tree where all the animals were already gathering and starting the preparations for Christmas. And as they walked toward the huge, gigantic, enormous redwood tree that you guessed, the little brown rabbit rode on her friend's back, the big bear. And they walked along, but then they stopped, and the big brown bear looked up, and one single snowflake fell down from the sky and landed right on the bear's nose. And the little rabbit was sad, because she knew what that meant. That meant the bear would probably be ready to hibernate. What does hibernate? Sleep. Go to sleep in a big, warm bear cave and sleep all through the winter. And this was why, of all the forest creatures, only bear had never seen Christmas. They got to the clearing and all the animals were already there. Rabbit hopped down and ran around in circles excitedly, and big, galumpy bear yawned. A big bear yawned. It started up high and went down low. And little rabbit was sad again because she knew her friend was getting sleepy. The animals were doing their preparation. Even some foxes were allowed to be there because they had heard about the health message and became vegetarians, and so they were there with all the other animals. It's true. And they looked up at this giant tree that was so old and ancient, not more than 6,000 years old though. Ask your parents why that's important. They'll tell you later. And they looked up at the 6,000-year-old tree, and there were fireflies all over it. The kind of fireflies that like winter and like cold, and it was all sparkly and glittery. And there were little decorations, and the birds had been building nests all over the tree, and it looked beautiful. And Bear turned his big, galumpy body and started trudging off. Rabbit reached out her little paw, but it was too late. The bear was walking away. The bear found his way to the cave where he spent every winter, and he laid his big, galumpy, hairy body down in the back of the cave and started bear snoring. Does anybody know what a bear snore sounds like? Loud. I can't do it because I don't want to make things yucky on the microphone for someone else. But the bear snored and snored. And Christmas Eve came. The animals were finishing up their preparations, and the tree had never looked so beautiful. Hundreds and hundreds of feet up, as high as the top of that star, and maybe even higher. It was all decorated all the way around, and the animals of the forest all stood back and looked. And they sang Christmas songs like Silent Night and In the Bleak Midwinter and Rocking Around the Christmas Tree. Because they were those kinds of animals. Meanwhile, Bear slept. And the little rabbit had a sad heart because her friend Bear was not there. She looked toward where the cave was, and then she got an idea. While the other animals were singing Christmas songs, she sneaked out of the area around the big tree, and she went and got a little box that she had put together. It was a little red package with a green bow, and she hopped off all the way to Bear's cave and set the little package at the entrance of the cave. And the snow fell all around, and it Christmas morning came, and the sky was blue, and all the birds were chirping, and the animals were giving each other presents of raspberry jam, and little things that the beavers had carved, and little hats, little beanies that were made out of the softest pine cones you ever saw. And there was one creature missing. Who was it? Not the rabbit, it was the big Galopi bear who was still... But wait a minute. They looked, and over the hill, they saw something coming. And down the hill it came toward the tree, and it was the bear. Because Rabbit had given the bear the gift of an alarm clock. And it woke the bear just in time for Christmas morning. And when he came over the hill, his little black bear eyes got real big, and his big slimy bear mouth opened wide. And his face was all excitement and happiness. And the little rabbit jumped, a big rabbit jumped, and ran around in a rabbit circle, so happy that her friend, the big bear, had made it for the first time ever on Christmas morning. And they all felt excitement in their furry animal hearts, because now Christmas was complete. They were all there together. But the biggest smile of all was, can you guess? It wasn't the bear. It was the rabbit. She smiled the biggest rabbit-toothed smile of all, because she knew that even more important than little beanies made out of pine cones and raspberry jam was the gift of making sure nobody was left out and everybody was brought into the circle of joy and happiness on Christmas morning. You can go back to your seats.